Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update video. We'll have a bit of a chat about what has happened in Spain over the last week or so from a news perspective. Outdoors today, taking advantage of this fantastic unseasonal January weather that we have here in the Madrid community currently, around 15, 16 degrees Celsius currently, and I think it's going to get up to around 18, 19 degrees today. So very warm weather, and that is what is dominating the press, the international press, about Spain today. One article here from Sky News: Spanish region hits 28 degrees Celsius in January, the second highest temperature in 38 years. While many visited the beaches as temperatures reached the mid-high 20s, other tourists expressed their concern for the unusually high temperatures. And that's what's going on at the moment. Some people, of course, are enjoying the high temperatures, and other people are worried about what is going on here in Spain when it comes to these abnormal temperatures. As I said, these unseasonal temperatures, 28 degrees in Murcia, let's be honest, for this time of the year, it is not normal. And it wasn't only Murcia that experienced high temperatures, unseasonal temperatures, as I said. The Valencian community also, other parts of the Mediterranean, Andalusia, some parts of Andalusia experiencing high temperatures. And as we saw here, the second highest temperature in 38 years. So something's going on, not sure what it is. Strange, because last week in some parts of the country, the north of the country, it was snowing, it was raining heavily. In fact, various rivers in the north of Spain flooded, and this week we have these high temperatures. So very strange what's going on. Normally, I would say this type of weather you don't really get here, at least until the end of February, early March. Sometimes it's a bit hit and miss as far as weather is concerned, and people that live in the Mediterranean will also have something similar to say on that. The good temperature starts to come around the end of February, early March, going into April, May, of course, the weather's fantastic. But at the end of January, it is not the case. In fact, I can even feel the sun today, even though it's not that warm, burning my delicate skin. Luckily, I put on 50 plus SPF every day. Necessary, of course, to live in this country nowadays. Another piece of news that has popped up on my screen here about the 90-day rule, and apparently some bad news according to the Mallorca Daily Bulletin, and it is that a French court has rejected the 90-day amendment in major blow, but Spain vows to fight on. This is the ongoing story about the 90-day rule, which is now imposed on people from the United Kingdom. Of course, before they left the European Union, that wasn't an issue. People could stay out here for 6 months as long as they didn't break tax regulations and tax laws, of course, 183 days the maximum. But when the UK became a third country, the rules changed, and 90 days is the situation now for everybody basically that comes from a third country outside the European Union. 90 days is the maximum that people can stay. So what's this article going on about? Well, it says here that a French court has rejected, it says BAS rejected, but that's a spelling mistake obviously, has rejected an amendment to its immigration law, which means that British homeowners who are non-residents will only be able to spend 90 days in the country, 180 days a year, in 2 blocks of 2. The French Senate had given hope in the battle against the 90-day rule by proposing a special status for British homeowners, but it appears that the move has been rejected by the judiciary as being unconstitutional. So there we go, an interesting piece of news, and as the headline states, a major blow for people that were wanting to get this 90-day rule changed and go back to some type of status like the one that people had before. The French court seeing it as unconstitutional. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here in Spain, whether Spain pushes on with trying to change this law or whether it will give up after this news about France unconstitutional according to the French courts. Interesting, as I said. Now we'll have a look at some of the main stories that we've been speaking about on the channel this week. The week has been busy Politically in Spain, lots of proposed changes when it comes to amnesty laws and things like that, judicial changes in Spain. They want to make it easier for people like Carles Puigdemont and his group of independence politicians, separatist politicians. They want to make it easier for that group of people to come back to Spain, to get back to their old way of life. They're sick of living in other countries. Puigdemont lives in Belgium, as we know, and other people also living outside of Spain because they're worried about the Spanish justice system, because some of the judges here in Spain want to put them on serious charges, for example, terrorism charges. And that's what was announced earlier in the week, that the government wants to change the way people look at terrorism in this country. They want to distinguish between what they call a light terrorism and a serious terrorism. And of course, the government spin doctors have been out in force this past week trying to convince people here in Spain that there are indeed two types of terrorism. One where you blow up buildings, blow up cars, kill people deliberately, as we have seen in recent times. And also here in Spain back in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s with the ETA or ETA terrorist group that were killing people around the country, with other extremist terrorism groups in recent times we've seen. But the Spanish government wants to distinguish between the type of violence that took place during the Catalonian independence referendum back in 2017. They want to distinguish between that type of violence, street-type violence, where people did get injured, police officers got injured, and some other citizens got injured in those events back in 2017, and the hardcore terrorism where many people end up dying because of terrorist attacks. So that's what the government's trying to do. The justice system here in Spain, not happy with what the government is doing. They don't like their authority being taken away. They don't like things that they have put on the table previously being changed. And some judges still saying that they're going to continue with trying to get Mr. Puigdemont in prison here in Spain, because as we know, he was declared a criminal by the justice system and he is a fugitive currently. But the government wants to change that narrative. They want to erase that part of Spanish history almost, and get people, as I said, like Carles Puigdemont back in Spain. And he may even become president of the Generalitat, the president of the Catalonian government again. And no doubt that will lead to another referendum in Catalonia in coming years. Time will tell. That's what people think will happen. Now, another piece of news we looked at this past week relates to Spain's culture minister and a review that this minister announced of Spain's cultural heritage. They want to do a review of some of the museums here in Spain, in fact, probably all of the museums in Spain, and they want to change the way, or they want to try to change the way people view these works of art. They want to change the cultural framing. And as usual, this decision by the culture minister has divided opinion. If we look here at some of the international press's take on this matter, for example, GB News, we all know what side of politics GB News is on, and we can see here Spanish museums go woke as socialist-led government vows to decolonize exhibitions. The announcement has been accused of wokery, historical ignorance, and an attempt to destroy institutions such as the Prado, the Spanish National Art Gallery. And another article here from The Guardian, which is on the opposite side of the political spectrum to GB News, Spain to review museums and enable them to move past colonial framing. Spain's socialist-led government vows to fight against art censorship. Spain's socialist-led coalition government has announced a review of state-run museums to enable them to move past a colonial framing of people and the past, and has pledged to fight against political meddling and censorship of the arts. Ernest Urtasun, a member of the left-wing Sumar platform, who was appointed culture minister last November, told MPs he was committed to guaranteeing the effective exercise of cultural rights throughout Spain and ensuring that creative institutions engaged with society and the wider world. As you know, museums are living organisms that respond to the issues and debates of the times, he told the Congressional Culture Committee on Monday. And that is where we are currently on this topic here in Spain, divided. People on one side of politics saying that it's a good idea that we have a revision of historical artifacts, things like paintings and other works of art. It's a good idea. And people on the other side of politics saying, why touch it at all? History is history, and it shouldn't be reviewed. So let me know where you sit on the matter. Should things like art be reassessed, the framing changed to suit modern day times, or should you leave things as they are? The past is the past. History is history. Leave history to the historians. Let me know where you sit on this matter. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have an opinion about any of the topics that I have spoken about today, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego from sunny Madrid.